No way on earth you can trust Salman. I always tell everyone you just can't trust him.
This Salman guy, he's obviously just trying to get popular and get a following.
I think he's just a bitter ex trying to get revenge. It's always these abusive men just going after innocent women.
He's just trying to destroy our innocent imams.
What really is my motive? Let's be real. I'm a nobody. I'm riddled with imperfections. I am nothing. It is only a matter of time that my being and my name will disappear from this world. I am absolutely insignificant. Though the only significance that I yearn and am truly concerned about is being significant in the sight of my Creator, in the sight of Allah, and then my family, my children, and my close friends. I do not care to be an influencer, to have my name or face plastered on social media, or to leave a legacy where I am praised amongst people. Just this past year, there were multiple attempts on my life with fake, yet extremely disturbing calls made to the police in an effort to get me killed. If that wasn't enough, I quickly became the target of another assassination attempt. This time, character assassination. For the past few years now, it has taken a massive toll on my livelihood, my family, my children, and even the circle of friends and community around me. The worst part of it all, the same so-called shuyukh that I was close with would end up spreading lies and slandering me, all in an attempt to save face and to protect their reputation after being exposed. I will not be discussing the catalyst for that today, but trust me, it is coming. And for those who I am referring to, you should be scared. You should be losing sleep, because the truth is more powerful than you can imagine. Unfortunately, these lies and slander originate from two categories of people. The first is from those who are naive and have no real knowledge about me or don't even really know who I am, but they've heard the juicy gossip and the tabloid stories. The second are those who feel threatened, either because they have been partially exposed or because they have some connection, some loyalty, or have something to benefit through their connection with those that have been called out. And it is the second group of people who have resorted to lie, slander, and malicious narratives in an effort to destroy my credibility. As I grew up, the most impactful aspect of my life was watching and learning from my father, rahmatullahi alayhi. Amongst everyone that knew him, whether it was family, friends, community, or even co-workers, they would all describe him in the exact same way, that he was a man of exemplary character and a man who earned everyone's utmost respect. And so I remember the first time I heard the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, I have been sent down to perfect good character, to perfect mannerisms. Subhanallah. I could not help but be amazed by the fact that this was exactly what my father embodied and exhibited in every aspect of his life. And it's what left a lasting impression upon me, something I spent my entire life trying to embody and uphold. Unfortunately, in the past few years, my life has taken an unforeseen route. Never could I have ever imagined that my life could take such a drastic turn, or that I would have multiple attempts taken on my life, and that those colluding would somehow be able to conjure this elaborate scheme that somehow I staged it upon myself. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. There have been countless attacks on my character, in addition to my life, and countless efforts to demonize me. And there have been repeated efforts to inject and establish a false motive behind my actions and my decision to go public. So let the truth be known. What really is my motive? Let's take a stroll through some of the things that have been cast. Number one, that I'm doing this for attention or to gain an audience. Subhanallah. I have spent over 25 years of my life in the realm of dawah, mostly working behind the scenes. From the days in high school, going class to class, giving presentations on the true message of Islam, trying to break misconceptions and stereotypes. Speaking adamantly against the unjust war in Iraq, that while the government made false narratives about weapons of mass destruction, they were imposing their own weapons of mass starvation. Or working in the MSA at Michigan State University alongside giants like Famia Twain, Jamil Aftab, and many others, even having the humbling opportunity to serve as the MSA president, organizing rallies for Palestine at the state capitol far before it became a social media blitz and booster for many nowadays, and even speaking alongside civil rights activist Jesse Jackson at the Breslin Center, calling and rallying for peace in this troubled world. Also having interfaith meetings across the university to try and establish peaceful discourse while divisive world events like 9/11 and the war in Iraq were taking place. and having educational sessions with the police department to educate them on the true nature of Islam and Muslims, and then working with many organizations, ICNA, Wa Islam, Al-Maghrib Institute, and with Al-Maghrib Institute, spending years working hard to help transform the student experience and forming personal relationships with many of the shuyukh and students. And then co-founding Ihsan Fusion, which was dedicated to upping the quality of Islamic content and marketing being served to Muslims all over the world, and creating apps like My Dua, a collection of Hisnul Muslim, in addition to many others. Even working with Omar Suleiman to create the app Ilmflix, a Netflix-like app serving Islamic lectures, and many other projects which I will elaborate on in a future video. Or co-founding and launching Usra 360, Muslim Family Institute with Yasser Birjas, to try and fill a massive void when it came to education and guidance with respect to marriage and family life. And then even with my own community, the Valley Ranch Islamic Center, creating and launching a brand new website that is still currently being used by the masjid. Yes, the same masjid that is trying to cover up this scandal. And then working extensively with Dunia for many years behind the scenes with her content and even books published, all without ever caring to be given credit or to have my name published on any of it. And then launching Guided Hearts, which now Dunia claims to be the founder of, something she conceals that she fought so hard in court to try and get ownership from me. But you see these shuyukh, these community leaders, they try to paint a different narrative, that Salman is just this random community member who all of a sudden went rogue and is trying to garner attention. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Wallahi, when I went public last year, as soon as I hit publish on that first video, I remember feeling this compression in my heart and sitting on the sofa crying, begging Allah to guide me to that which is right and that which is necessary. I had no intention of releasing any further videos. In fact, my belief in optimism-based hope was that shuyukh and leaders would quickly intervene due to the gravity of what was revealed, and that I would take down the video and shut down the channel within 24 hours. Yet, they all stayed silent, no one wanting to get involved to speak up, all in fear of facing any possible backlash for speaking up against a woman, despite the irrefutable evidences of evil, of deceit, fraud, and behavior unbecoming of any Islamic speaker, influencer, or leader. Subhanallah. If only people understood the motives behind why all of these so-called shuyukh stayed silent. If people only understood their motives. Think about it. Why would Omar Suleiman leave me hanging when I asked him for his help numerous times, especially after an attempt was taken on my life? This is someone who told me that he moved to Dallas because of me, who told me to consider him as my younger brother. You don't have to take my word for it. Go ask Omar Suleiman yourself, and please do share his response. Trust me, inshallah, the motives and the truth behind all of this is coming. But I will leave you with one thing. A once best friend, a younger brother. This is not someone that would abandon his brother in a time of desperation and need. And especially not due to his relationship with the woman behind all of this evil. There are some extremely disturbing and pressing items that will be revealed in the upcoming months. You will soon come to know the motives behind such gross negligence from both Omar Suleiman and Yasser Birjas, from my own community, from my own masjid, and why they not only turned their cheek, but also tried to twist the story to make it sound like I staged the whole swatting attack, despite definitive evidence from the police that proves otherwise. Despite all of this, I have no plans on continuing down this path and continuously filming videos. I don't want to be the face of any movement. I don't want to be the name behind any of this. Whatever momentum has been set forth due to Behind Veils, I pray others who are actually qualified and share a similar vision can take the baton and continue this fight and struggle for a much needed reform in the West against the corruption that is so deeply seated amongst our leadership. Many who are not even truly qualified and exaggerate their credentials. Number two, that I'm doing this for money. Very simple. My channel, nor the website, is monetized in any way, shape, or form. Take a look at many of these other shuyukh or so-called Muslim influencers. They do everything to drive traffic to their videos, many times using clickbait. But you will not find me trying to profit off of any of this. I'm sorry, but I'm not the one profiting from Muslims, whether it's benefiting off of their issues, taking Islamic trips and conducting Islamic courses, or even charging thousands and thousands of dollars to speak at a fundraiser from the money raised for people dying all around the world. If you're the ones profiting heavily off of the Muslims and their public funds and those that are suffering from around the world, don't question my sincerity, question your own. Number 3, that I am just a bitter ex trying to take revenge, and that somehow I'm irate with these shuyukh because they didn't want to help, and so now I'm just trying to attack them. Let's deconstruct this for just a moment. First off, with respect to Dunia, after our divorce, I did everything to help her transition in life. After nearly 5 years of being her source, of helping her with everything, her website, her flyers, her lectures, her courses, her books, her emails, and various projects, I tried to help her gain some level of autonomy. Yet it was only after realizing the vicious lies she was spreading about me and others where I tried for years privately to seek help. It was only after the lies and slander she was spreading, coupled with the harassment and attacks, that I finally spoke up. So once again, these delusional motives, they are nothing but that. Delusional, infantile, and absurdly ludicrous. It's not about followers, it's not about fame, it's not about money. These shuyukh are afraid because they have someone that was in their inner circle coming out and speaking up against their gross negligence and their corruption. It has been nearly 10 months since I put out my first video, and guess how many times they've approached me at the masjid? Nil. 0, zilch. But guess how many people they've had backdoor conversations with? Quite honestly, I'm having trouble keeping count. I also want to address something regarding Omar Suleiman and what I mentioned in my first video, how there was an incident where he was supposed to have a call with Dunia and he delayed it until his wife left to pick up the kids, and how on the call, the tone, the laughs, they were completely inappropriate. After I mentioned that, he essentially called me a liar and untrustworthy, and then used a deflection tactic and invoked a straw man fallacy trying to attack me and my character. First, injecting this thought of doubt as to why both me and Dunia would be together if we were both married at that time, which is completely false. And then questioning why I would be with her and listening while she had it on speakerphone. Well, let me pause for just a moment and take you back to something I mentioned in the first video, of which caused many people and influencers online to fuel gossip and slander solely based on assumptions. I mentioned that me and Dunia were in a discreet relationship for many years. Do you want to know why? It's the same reason why many men in the West, in the US, in the UK, and in other countries, that despite being Islamically divorced, they have to keep their relationship or remarriage discreet because of the implications of a divorce that can be dragged out for years in the legal courts, and especially the consequences it can have in trying to gain fair custody of one's children. And while that was ongoing for many years in my case, I had been talking to Dunia's family, her brothers, her parents for many years, going over their house frequently. So going back to Omar Suleiman and his other cronies that want to deflect taking ownership for their own actions, and instead questioning me and injecting doubt into people's minds. Well, let me answer your question. What was I doing with her at that time if we weren't married, and why did she have it on speakerphone? Something Brother Ali Dawa commented on his video, essentially inferring that if that was indeed the case, that I have, quote, bigger issues and am in no position to critique the tone or the conversation in the first place. Well, let me first address you, Ali Dawa. You initially replied to me in our private messages saying that you had concerns and that you needed to discuss with me certain items about alleged AI audio and claims that I made. And you asked me if we can have a conference call to discuss it. I responded an hour later, entirely open to the call and any questions that you may have. I even elaborated on the misconstrued points you brought up, but guess what? Absolutely no response. You clearly made no attempt to get my side of the story and hear my testimony. It was enough for you to hear it from him and titled your video, Ali Dawa Messages Omar Suleiman and the Truth Comes Out. essentially defending Omar Suleiman and refusing to hear from my side, even after I sent you nearly 30 messages, elaborating on the matter. Then 2 days later, your video about Omar Suleiman was published at nearly the exact same day and time as my video, also about him. And upon hearing that, you finally contacted me, questioning the points I attributed to you.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm just watching your third video on this thing. You mentioned that I apparently said to you that Omar Suleiman said to me that you used AI. Can you tell me when I said that to you? Okay, I said to you, a viewer got in contact with me and told me via my cameraman that that's AI. I never said Omar Suleiman. And also the thing about that you wanted Dunia back. I never said that to you, that Omar Suleiman said that to me.
Ah, very clever. I never said that to you. You're absolutely right, because you didn't relay the items directly to me that were supposed to be kept private and in confidence. And so I responded to you immediately, naming the brother you did disclose these details to. Subhanallah, it's amazing how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates the truth to emerge. And I even messaged you that if these comments were not relayed to you by Omar Suleiman, then let me know and I will publicly rectify it. You read my messages, but you stayed silent and never responded. With all due respect, Akhi, that is disingenuous and that is a lack of integrity. This is not to say you had evil intent. Alhamdulillah, from what is apparent, I believe you to be a brother of sincerity. So I hope you will reach out, seek the truth, and inshallah, put out a clarification video after having heard from both sides. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in your work and accept from your deeds. Allahumma ameen. Now, circling back to the question, why did Dunya have the call on speakerphone? It is because Islamically she was my fiancée at that time. It is because we were planning on getting married. It's because I had ghira due to people like you, Omar Suleiman, and all the other shuyukh who try and engage in these flirtatious conversations, sweetening their voices, cracking jokes, laughing, giggling, and conversing about their personal lives. Something they would never do around others, and especially not around their wives. To make me sound like a liar in an effort to defend your actions, it is absolutely abhorrent and sickening, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Fear Allah with the truth. Wallahi, I dare you to challenge my testimony, because liars and cowards hide in the shadows. For the game plan that Dunya and all her shuyukh buddies have strategically settled on, that by keeping quiet publicly and just trying to discredit, disqualify, and demonize me behind closed doors, and that this will all just fade away with time, allow me to intrude on that thought for just a moment. I've got 5 words for you. I am just getting started. Bismillah.